My name is Julie. I've been married to my husband, Tom, for 15 years. It's been a whirlwind of busy, stress-filled days. It was all because of my selfish mother-in-law, my opportunistic sister-in-law, and my incompetent husband who doesn't care for the family. It all started when my father-in-law, John, opened his CPTA office at his own house. My mother-in-law, Karen, noticing my background, forced us to live with them, saying, "Your bookkeeping skills are just what we need. If you're going to be at home anyway, you can also do the housework, right?" That's what she said, dumping not just the office assistant work on me, but also the daily cleaning and cooking. Whenever she's free, she's out shopping or dining, just enjoying herself. She plays favorites, and her favorite was my sister-in-law, Samantha. She was my brother-in-law's wife. Samantha and her husband have kids and live about an hour away from us. They come to our place every weekend. They usually contact Karen beforehand, and she would say, "Leave the kids' care to me." Hearing what Karen said, Samantha just rides on her coattails, saying, "Then I'll come over tomorrow," without considering our plans at all. Following Karen's words, "Make yourself at home," Samantha dumps her kids on me and does nothing herself. We have a daughter, but they have 3 boys. The amount of food they eat is a nightmare. When I ask for help with preparing meals, Samantha turns sour, saying, "You're really going to make me work on my day off?" When I persist, saying, "I have other work besides household chores, so I'm short on time," Karen butts in. "Are you belittling Samantha for being a housewife? Let her relax while she's visiting. You're being mean." That's right, being a housewife is really hard. "Mother, you're so considerate and kind." Samantha smiled at Karen and took her arm. Every time I remember her smug look as she left, I seethe with anger. Just when the stress was so intense, and felt like I was going to have a rash, my husband, Tom, had made it worse. When I complained about Karen and Samantha's terrible behavior, he said, "Isn't housework your job? You manage it alone even when you're busy. So, why do you want help? You're just trying to pass it off on someone else. Why do I have to take care of their family too? If that's the wife's job, then do it. If you don't like it that being the way, we can have a divorce. But do you think you can manage a divorce with no significant qualifications?" He smirked, as if to say, "You couldn't possibly manage, could you?" Tom, whom I thought I married for love, became quite cold towards me after our honeymoon phase. He probably didn't like the fact that I prioritized my work over him, and that his father, John, had high expectations of me. Jealous jerk. I screamed inside, but stayed silent. He ended our conversation saying, "I'm busy studying for my exams." He seems to be wanting to inherit the CPTA firm, but keeps failing the exams. "You don't have any significant qualifications either," I wanted to scream at him. But in these tough times to get a job, it's scary to leave the household with just my bookkeeping skills. It's not the perfect timing yet, I told myself. The only neutral person in this household was John. He showed no interest in home affairs and let Karen rule, but as a professional in work, he was respectable. Unlike Karen and Tom, who dumped everything on me, he carefully taught me the job and even suggested I become a CPTA. I realized that having a goal made it easier to overcome hardships. The future goal John gave me became my anchor. I studied hard in my spare time, passing one CPTA exam after another. I'll never forget the joy when I had finally passed them all. With my practical experience, I was registered as a CPTA and became a true member, supporting my father-in-law's office. Tom didn't like the fact that I started working as a CPTA and became overtly cold. I tried to be nice, saying "good job" to him while he was studying. But he snapped back, "Are you looking down on me? You really are an uncharming woman." He also demeaned me, bringing up his brother and Samantha. "He's lucky for having a beautiful wife like Samantha. Why did I marry someone like you? We only have one daughter. Even my mom says you're the worst." Karen still favored Samantha, pampering her kids more than our daughter. Samantha, getting too confident, even left her kids with us to go on a trip with her husband. My dear Samantha is such a good girl. She even brings us souvenirs, considering we can't travel. Compared to her, you're always grumpy and acting all high and mighty now that you're a CPTA. Really, you're such an unpleasant daughter-in-law. I've become accustomed to how sarcastic Karen was, and wondered what I should do. I had divorce papers prepared, because I thought I would leave my husband once I became a CPTA, but now I'm unsure about the timing. I had thought that once I got the CPTA license I could leave anytime, but I enjoyed working with John, which made it hard to leave. But what finally pushed me to make my choice was Karen's hospitalization. It happened right before summer vacation. She fell down the stairs and broke a bone. While she was in hospital, she suddenly said to me, "Samantha and her family will be coming, so make sure you take good care of them." What? They're coming even when she's not here? How brazen can they be? I was stunned, but I knew complaining to Karen was pointless. So, when I got home, I called Samantha. She was cheerful on the phone, saying, "Thanks for being able to look after the kids again this summer." But when I told her I couldn't because Karen was hospitalized, she responded, "What? I've already made plans for vacation with my husband and it's too late to cancel now. Don't you understand? Are you that stupid?" Her attitude changed drastically and mocked me. I snapped back at her, "That's my line. Every year, you don't think about others and just do as you want. I have work and I'm busy. But still, you want to leave your kids with us while you go on a long vacation with your husband? Don't be ridiculous. You're not allowed to come." Samantha was silent for a moment after my retort. Then she said, "What's with that attitude? Mom hates you anyway. I'm telling on you," and hung up. As expected, she immediately tattled to Karen, and now Tom. Tom called me in, saying, "I heard you told Samantha not to come to our house. You are really the worst. You've really disappointed me this time. A heartless woman like you deserves a divorce." Who's the worst here? Just then something in me snapped. Wait, I had been waiting for this day, a chance to make my choice. Fine. I agree on getting a divorce. I calmly started to fill in the divorce papers I had prepared. "What are you doing?" Surprised by my readiness, he was speechless. "I'm going to send them to court. What else do you think?" Shaken back to reality by my words, he rushed out of the room. While leaving the room, Tom shouted at me, "Even if you beg and cry, I won't take back what I said." After that I went to see John. I explained everything to him, and he said, "I'm sorry for all the stuff you've been through." I never felt resentment towards him, even though he had never defended me. "All I can do is wish you well on your new journey." Perhaps John felt guilty towards me. Since Tom refused to discuss anything about the divorce, John helped me with child support and property settlement. And finally, by the time things had settled down, 6 months had passed. I was busy opening my own private office when I received a message from Tom that said John had been hospitalized. The diagnosis was terminal cancer. When I rushed to the hospital, Tom, Karen, my former brother-in-law, and his wife Samantha were there. Seeing me, Karen said with a smile, "Oh, Julie, it's good to see you well. With John like this and the office to worry about, don't stay mad forever. Come back to us." Tom, trying to sound sweet, said, "I'll forgive you if you apologize. So, come back home." "No thank you. I'm just here to visit today." Unable to hold back, Samantha burst out. "They're asking you kindly, and you're still so cold. Let's not rely on someone like Julie, especially now that the office is in danger." "Samantha." Karen and Tom exclaimed, turning pale. But I had already guessed their motives. "Stop it. It's shameful. You've realized her worth too late," John said quietly, having watched the disgraceful scene in silence. "But without Dad, what will happen to the office? How will we live?" Tom lamented. "You're being pathetic, a man over 40 whining like that. It's your responsibility now. Julie is no longer family to us. But, that divorce doesn't count. Julie needs the office too. Who else would hire a woman like you?" Tom ranted, still out of touch with reality. John sighed heavily. "Julie has made it on her own. She has many clients who rely on her. She's a fully qualified CPTA, unlike you, who still hasn't passed half the exams." Tom was at a loss for words at that comment. It seemed like John was aware of his own condition, or perhaps to celebrate my new beginning, had explained the situation to the clients I handled and arranged work for me. Thanks to his support, I was able to start on preparing my own office. Really, Tom is such a hopeless child, Karen remarked, sensing that her son was at a disadvantage. Then she pulled at my sleeve, saying, "Hey, Julie, I think we can be close again. I've been having trouble with my leg since the injury. I need rehabilitation, and it's hard to manage things at home with this leg. Please come back. Why don't you ask Samantha for help with rehabilitation?" When I coldly dismissed the idea, Samantha snapped back on behalf of Karen. "I'm busy with housework, I don't have time for that." Karen was shocked by Samantha's immediate refusal. "Samantha? I'm not going to take care of an old person. I hate that kind of thing." John burst out laughing at her frank aversion. "You've been spoiled by my wife all this time, and yet you dare to say Julie is cold-hearted. I don't even want to see your face, please leave." Samantha's face turned pale, and John then turned to his wife. "You're such a fool, keeping such a daughter-in-law around, and losing a capable and reliable one like Julie. Why don't you apologize and ask this useless daughter-in-law to take care of you?" John's biting words left his wife speechless. As I stood there in shock, John said, "When you realize your time is limited, you find the courage to speak your mind." He chuckled at his own words. After that day, I continued to visit John in the hospital. Tom eventually had to close the office. He seemed to be struggling to find a job at his age. Karen's leg got worse. She having limited outings and not being able to do the housework, she forced Tom to do it all. Tom being incapable of managing, their home was a mess. They must be having a hard time. Samantha hasn't been near the family's house since that day in the hospital. My brother-in-law seems to have run out of patience with his wife who rejected his mother, and the warmth in their home has apparently cooled completely. My wife was complaining the other day about you being a cold daughter-in-law. John chuckled, as if he was stunned. I couldn't be there for his last moments, but I was able to express my gratitude to him. What I can do for him is to maintain the relationships he had built. I'm determined to do my best.